Welcome to Sound Values, powered in part by LSA Burger and Classic of Denton.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in tonight on DentonRadio.com. My name is Kyle Beats. We are broadcasting from the beautiful Discover Denton Welcome Center on the ever-cooling, it's getting a little bit cool, 89 degrees today.
Yeah, that's cool.
Denton Square, so it's it's feeling really nice out there today. You know, but it's hot in here because we got that good-looking boy, Sanford Black.
What
right
it
here.
do?
Oh,
Hello.
chilling out, man. Chilling. Maxing and relaxing. So we brought Sanford into the studio tonight so we could talk about new projects, the album that he's coming out with, the process, and what it really took to even get to the point of putting out an album. So, you know, we'll just kind of jump right into the questions here, man, and we'll kind of start like back at the beginning. So, you know, when we first met and stuff, you were mostly DJing. I wasn't hearing a lot of your own original music. There was some of it on SoundCloud, but most of it was, most of what I heard was just really good beats that you would find and mix. And then it seems like kind of out of nowhere, you dropped this album on the Breakfast Boys the other night. And so I'm interested to know, like, where did it start? When did you decide I'm gonna put out a record, an album?
Well, it came from a number of places to start, but I've been making beats since like 2004, so long time. To whatever degree of quality, most of what I ever made in this whole time was not very good, and I didn't like it, and it was frustrating and an exercise in frustration and wherewithal and keeping with it over time. And like 3 years ago, I'd gotten back into the swing of it, and I was making new stuff, and then dude broke into my house and stole all my stuff, my laptop, audio interface, headphones, all my favorite things anyway.
The worst.
And so that took me out for another couple years. It had already been a struggle for the last 2 years before that to get back into it. And then when I got back into it, I got robbed. And so years later, we start hanging out and we start doing the Breakfast Boys thing. And I think it hit upon me heavily in February. I had a couple friends part ways after a long relationship, and I was invested in that relationship as it's a deep friendship, and I felt a lot of ways about the situation that I couldn't express in any other way, I think, and so I went back toward the music. Felt like a good way to get these feelings out and just express myself actively through music, and it was very cathartic in that it helped me kind of deal with the situation, get those emotions out, and kind of like while I'm making these things, process what I'm feeling. And while I was doing that, we were setting up for Bishonen Beats, the first one that happened in February, and so I wanted to contribute, and hadn't been totally inactive with making music. I just maybe making little ambient joints here and there, struggling to make some beats. It was happening, but not enough. And so once that all kind of came together, I had made enough to perform at the first Bishonen Beats, and I was happy with most of that stuff, and I had a strong desire to keep going, but then hit another wall, and that I was using a micro Korg synthesizer for years, and it just once I got to a certain end point in that little era of music making, it broke down on me and gave up. And I realized I'd hated it for years anyway, and the thing was difficult to program and kind of a pain most of the time. It could do some cool stuff, but it was hard to get to, and tiny little plastic keys were terrible and made me feel like a dumb player most of the time. So I sought to upgrade. It was the balance too, again, as always, between should I just give this up, is it worth doing, or should I reinvest and make it work? So I decided to make it work. Did my research, ended up on a new synthesizer that's been my little baby since, and continued to write stuff. And we had the other Bishonen Beats coming up, and it was more like, the boys are doing it, you should continue doing it. You've been doing this for years. You're the grandfather of the crew anyway. And things just started kind of fitting together over time. I found that I was able to express myself accurately with some of these, even small emotional ideas that I was having. But I was able to channel it, and it was coming through accurately. And then I had like 25 tracks all of a sudden. I was like, I need to do something with this. And so I started sorting through them and seeing what was good about certain songs, what could be improved, what could be changed. We dropped, and there were plenty dropped. I landed on a final 15 tracks, mostly shorts, 15 tracks in 33 minutes. It's little ditties mostly. And I was proud with my output finally. After so many years of struggling to find my voice, I felt like I found it.
Yeah.
And was able to. And then I had to teach myself mixing and mastering and all that, and that was a fun process. It was like setting these tracks up to do that, make them sound real good, kind of live and breathe on their own. Yeah, here we are, 33-year-old boy coming out real soon on Something Modern Records.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's the name of the record, 33-year-old boy.
33-year-old boy, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Because I feel that way often as a 33-year-old man.
Yeah.
With some level of arrested development, and I'm still pursuing my dreams. I haven't given up on my dreams just yet.
Oh yeah, yeah. I guess you could say I'm a 31-year-old man as well, or 31-year-old boy.
Yeah,
whatever it is, whatever I'm trying to be. It's working out.
Boyhood is I think boyhood is always important to a man, right? It's how we grow. You become a man. You learn everything you're gonna learn as a boy, and then you learn all this other stuff as a man. But it's like I still feel like I got so much more to learn before I'm like fully capable of taking care of all the things, protecting.
Yeah, I think that's important.
Protecting my world and thriving in it too. And it's like, and I think the album is kind of about that too. That's where the name came from. I was talking to our boy YSA, what up, one night, and just talking about how I feel like a 33-year-old boy. Like I've not grown like society tells you to grow, not doing these things that society tells you to do. Barely have a car, renting an apartment, no insurance, okay job, still in poverty. It's okay. It's just I've found my way to work around the pressures of life and still do what I do. And then that's what this album is about. It's what I've been doing, what I think about, however abstractly. It comes through in the music. If you listen to the album, you'll know me a little deeper.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, for sure. And I like how you mentioned Bashunin and Beats. I remember when you played that music, I told you, I was like, don't ever play anybody else's music again. I was like, there's no need, because that stuff was really cool. And I love, like, you have the way that the ambient portions of like the album and the way it all kind of mixes together and stuff goes really well. But that's what you did at Bashunin and Beats as well. It had this cool ambient feel to it, but then also the drums are very punchy and they come through very well. And so you actually, what's unique about your drums is you sampled those from an actual drum kit.
Absolutely.
As compared to a lot of people who either buy stuff, from or get samples off of Splice. Nothing wrong with it. It's just that your sound of drum comes across very original.
Well, and I wanted all of the sounds to kind of come across that way, even in the joints where I use actual samples for some of the main parts of the songs. But it's like I've always wanted to accurately voice myself. I want to say what I have to say through my own voice and through my own hand, and part of that was growing my own sounds, developing a style of sound making that was indicative of me only. And I get tired of like trying to manipulate sounds that I found and from sample packs and what I'm trying to fit them into the form that I wanted, rather than just go get them. You want a snare, go hit a snare, record that, and then take it in. And so I have, Michael Kokonakis in the house. He's got this little triple layered super Franken kit in the garage. It's
nice.
Got, 50 different drum instruments on it. And every time I go over there, I went over there the other day, I just got my little recorder and just hit stuff, sample that, and bring it back home, and I'll play with it later.
Yeah, for sure.
So it was important to me to create that well-rounded sound that was fully mine and part of my experience as well. Just, partly the thing I'm trying to communicate is my own personal experience. And so that's part and parcel of that idea. Is I'm out there getting sounds actively. A lot of the album has a lot of field recordings and stuff that I've taken, just sitting in a room.
You want to pick it up?
No.
She's probably wondering why it's not.
She knows. Oh. Sorry, that's my beautiful fiance calling me.
Lady calling. I'm like, you can pick it up, man. One time my dad called me when I was interviewing Monica, and I called him back. He didn't pick up.
Shoot, I've lost my train of thought.
We were talking about just you. It was your way of expressing, yourself, your experience.
Oh, so some field recordings. So I've in the album, there's a lot of ambient joints in it. So I try to get a picture of an environment that is fully created in the sound. It's like when you listen to it, you were transported to this place. But I use a lot of actual sounds from the world around me to kind of change the actual world into my world, taking pieces of whatever's good out there. So. Like I have this little secret space. I wrote a song about it. It's my little secret spot. It's near my job at the Bearded Monk, but it's away from everybody. It's this quiet little secret space.
I know where the secret space is, but I won't tell anybody else.
Don't. Thank you. It's very secret, very closely guarded.
I don't even go there.
It's very closely guarded.
But so secret.
I sat there one day thinking about all sorts of things, but I recorded the space and I ended up writing a song about it. It's called Secret Spaces, Open Windows,
Mm-hmm.
because I felt like being alone in this space was enough to open the window of my mind to get me to think about things in a different fashion anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wrote this little ode to it, and the sounds of the place are in there.
That's cool.
And the idea behind it is also hidden within the tracks, all based on actual recordings of things around me.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And so, when you're, because this is more of like a technical question, because it's like some people go, okay, cool, so you record a snare, and then you go and you do this, but then once you have it on the recorder, how do you go from the recorder to putting it into a computer to getting it on a track?
Well, my recorder has a little memory card slot. It's recorded the memory card. I just plug it in. I like to keep very organized on my computer, so I'll go through these recordings and then title them appropriately. These are snares. I was also, when I would do a take, if I was going to hit a snare, I'd hit it in different ways, but I'd also do a take, and I'd say, these are snares.
Okay.
Snare take one,
well, that's
snare
important.
take two.
Yeah,
So
it's like that's good to do.
I could just pull up the file and have a cue at the beginning, tell me what it was, and then I'd document that in the file name, store it in folders appropriately, so I can just refer to them whenever I needed them.
And so do you take those and then build kits within Ableton?
Sometimes. That's what I do when I'm not feeling particularly creative. I try to build little blocks that'll make creativity a lot easier to flow on later. Yeah. I ended up doing that yesterday when I was struggling creatively to write anything. It was just like, all right, build a kit. Make sure I know how to tune drums digitally appropriately and make a good kit. Make sure it all sounds good together, and then save it and store it for later.
So you mentioned yesterday, and so yesterday, we were all talking about those times when you're completely, you sit down and you can't come up, nothing's flowing. So, but it seems like, if you're gonna, you write 25 tracks, you choose 15 of them, then that flow had to be coming pretty good.
Sometimes.
And okay, so then how do you decide when a song is right? Because I have a certain sound that I look for in my head and in my style and what I do, but how do you know when you're like, this is Sanford Black right here?
So similarly, it's like I start usually with just kind of stupidly pounding on keys and pushing buttons and noodling a little bit so it's like walking into a cloud. It's all water droplets anywhere until you start to collect it in your bucket, and then the bucket gets full of water, and then it's like, okay, cool, I can see my reflection in this bucket. That's a really weird metaphor I just came up with.
It's a good analogy. Not as good as Mercy's cooking the food correctly, but
yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
so it's really just sitting there and banging your head against the thing until it starts to sound like anything. Yesterday I endeavored to write. I'm writing music today, I said to myself. Got in the studio, sat down, started playing keys, and nothing was working. My fingers felt stupid. Wasn't flowing correctly. I was trying to do some of these
dumb fingers.
Yeah, I just had dumb fingers that day, and
it happens.
It was a struggle. And then I was getting frustrated, but trying to work past that frustration. I know about creative frustration. It's been going on forever.
Yeah.
So I decided instead, after several hours of productive non-productivity, to change form and go do something else. So I went into my art studio, and thankfully I have many creative aspects of my personality I can bounce off of. So I went and didn't have any good ideas for the art studio either, but I just did building block stuff. I was, preparing surfaces and sanding down panels and just doing anything that, slinging some paint around a little bit, but nothing strenuous or anything. But I did that for a few hours, felt refreshed, got some pizza. Ate that pizza, and then felt full of it. And I got back in the music studio.
The rejuvenation of pizza.
It helps. I got back in the music studio and started writing a little beat. And over the next 3 hours, it started all come together, and is definitely something worth continuing to work on. I still need some work. It's not done yet.
There's one thing that I do notice is that if there's two art forms that cross, it seems like you have a lot of producers who are like graphic designers and artists who work with canvas or other mediums. Does yours kind of cross it all? So like when you painting, is there kind of music going on there? And when you're making music, is there that kind of same thing?
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people remark over the years, like when looking at my visual art, they can hear the music that I listen to in it. There's a certain rhythm to it. So when I'm listening to those rhythms, I'm moving with those rhythms. So you can see the expression of the music in the visual form.
For sure.
And then vice versa. There's a lot about art making that is a heavy process, and it's all from step 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to a completed piece eventually. And so I've been kind of approaching music a lot the same in that you have to start somewhere. It's usually with a blank canvas or piece of paper or some other thing. You got to splash some color on it, do some other things, change the form, move stuff around, take a step back from it sometimes, put it away, pull it back out, and find out what's good about this thing. What has made this worth doing at all? Is it going to grow from what it is? Is it going to lead just to the next thing and is it okay to be thrown away? So it's a lot of the same process aspects that bridge between the two. And then a lot, too, in certain colors of art and music. Like, I'm not, what do they call that? When you can see colors when you listen to music, what do they call those?
Oh, man, I don't remember it.
Fine, blessed people.
I don't know what it is. Here, I'll use the power of the internet.
It'll come to me when it comes to me. But, there's people that can see color when they listen to music or anything. Or they associate letters with colors and numbers and all these sorts of different things. I think similarly, music has colorful texture without being visual. Certain notes have certain feelings. So I like to create little environments, biomes.
Synesthesia.
Yeah.
Synesthesia.
Yeah. So in the synesthetic mode, I try to create these little spaces with music that really can't be expressed through words, especially. But I might not even be able to accurately translate into a visual form. It's just these spaces exist in the music, and it's interesting in that way. So this more of the voice that is voiceless.
Yeah, for sure. So once again, we kind of talked about sampling and then all that kind of stuff and the drums and all that. And so what for people who don't have any idea, what do you use to make your music?
So primarily Ableton Live. And for a number of years, I find it's the most fluid of digital audio workstations that I've encountered.
DAWs, if you will.
Yes. In that it's once you learn, and we were talking about this earlier, but step 1, potential beat makers out there, first thing you got to do is learn your software.
Yeah.
There's a lot of concepts and things in digital production that you should know. Otherwise, you get hung up on what is compression, how do I use it creatively. Let me learn about this. Take a step back from actually creating. Once you learn all these things, you have a pretty good idea what's going on. The workflow is important. So I've found that Ableton is entirely capable of doing whatever you want, and pretty quickly if you know what you're doing. Doesn't hold you up ever. It seems like you can just get it out there. If you want to do 15 takes of a single, bass line, you can do 8,000 just fine in Ableton. They don't hold you up at all. They give you access to everything you need to get your ideas out without holding you up. And then they even have a little dialog box at the bottom left that tells you what that stuff does. It's great. So it's been great because just got to put what is in your head into that program, and it pretty much works with you.
I mean, we've talked about it before. I mean, when people ask you, can you teach me how to make beats? It's just like, I can teach you like shortcuts and software and all that, but to find what you're hearing in your head will take years.
Yeah.
Like it really will, because I mean, unless you're already a classically trained musician, you're a very well-trained musician, like I think one guy, like Scow this weekend, I mean, the music that he played was beautiful. I know you had to go eat, but like he's a guy who like can play, and he throws a swinging beat behind it and he just knows what he's doing. Or like somebody, like Matt from the Boombox, if you put a swinging beat for that guy could have a bumping SoundCloud, in the hip hop genre if he just made beats.
Matt Westmoreland, get on your beats.
Yeah,
man.
that's all I'm trying to say, Matt, is step it up, man.
Put the controller down, pick a different controller.
Yeah,
up.
Exactly. You could be on Chill Hop Records right now, but you're playing games.
Yesterday.
I want you to know that.
But no, yeah, like so even if you're a good musician, you have to have put the time in to learn that stuff.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I think it's the same with any other creative act, is that you have to put the time in to learn it. So you can't just teach somebody to draw. They have to draw to learn that. And you got to fail, too. That's important. You got to make really crappy beats for
horrible.
Hopefully not 13 years like it was me, but hopefully you get it figured out pretty quick whether or not you want to continue to do that at all.
Mine was like 6 before I really started feeling like I was putting out. Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, I started making when I was 23, And I moved here when I was 25, and I still wasn't playing any shows. And I think when I was, yeah, man, I had to have been, I was 28, you know, and that's when I felt like I was starting to hit a good stride, and that's when I got to play Octopia. And yeah, I mean, that's kind of crazy to think about that. That's really only 3 years, you know, like, and not that long ago I turned 30 either. So that's weird. I never even thought about it in that time concept.
I see, man, I should have started with Ableton a long time ago. I started with Reason, which wasn't conducive to what I was trying to do. It didn't help me ever do the kind of things I wanted to do musically. It always felt like it was holding me up, you know. But that was me. It doesn't mean that that program is not capable of pushing forward the voices of other musicians. I know, like Shigeto, who's one of my absolute favorite artists, uses Reason, and I don't know why. Yeah. But he does good stuff with it. So it's all about.
I think sometimes it can have to do with. You can have any program, just like you could buy the basic Ableton, and then you can rent all your plugins off Splice, you know, pay $10 a month, and you know, then that's what I mean. If you do it kind of the way that you did it in a way where you really are building your own sounds, and you can. Ableton is like $300, but if you want to buy the suite, it's like $900.
Right.
You know,
but that comes with all those instruments and stuff.
All that. I mean, it's everything. Yeah. But it's kind of like because people get overwhelmed by that price when they hear that. I'm like, I think $300 to $900. Whoa, what? You know, I'm like, so you kind of have to. But that's when it's hard. Is like you don't know what kind of music you want to make. You might start off thinking you want to make tech house, and like me, I want to make dubstep. I want to make like big, like not like growl dubstep. I wanted to make like dubstep. Big synths. Yeah. Like in like those beautiful, like I still like it this day, like 7 Lions and all that stuff. It's very pretty, you know. It was very uplifting. It wasn't angry.
It's like that purple bass stuff you were showing me.
Yeah, kind of like that, but more kind of like bigger. Yeah. You know, in a way, that was kind of scary. That's what I wanted to do. But then I realized like I wasn't very good at that because I wasn't taking the time to get good with the program. I was just trying to pump whatever I could out. Yeah. You know, and then I just stumbled across doing things a different way and ran with that. So did you, you know, having said all that, my question is, did you change anything from like your previous in a way that you made music to this?
Oh, absolutely. Now? I think when I got more comfortable making things that were drumless and formless in their own way, like I didn't have to conform myself to the genres I was interested in so much as just do what I felt was natural. And that just took, you know, I think the time that had passed between being interested in it and doing it all these years and then landing on this album was just that I learned all this stuff in that time. It was a lot of stuff and a lot of time, and I've, you know, failed a lot, a lot. I bummed myself out pretty hard. I found an old hard drive in my closet and pulled it out and was listening to the stuff on it, and it was all terrible. It was like 08 to 2011 maybe, and it was just it made me feel bad listening to this stuff. It was like, why didn't you learn anything in this time? But it's like, so when I was able to let that go and just kind of free float out and just do everything I learned about music that I liked, you know, in other people's music, and then everything I didn't like about my own stuff over time, and then just kind of met myself in the middle. Yeah, it worked out like that. So it's just, I've always been interested in making ambient music my entire life, and was for some reason scared to do it. Like, I didn't think it would be anything anybody want to listen to, for one. Didn't know enough about music and how to construct things like that to make it sound good, and then I just gave up on that. And I was like, I don't really care. I like these things, and I have a new idea about it, you know, which was to create kind of environments and texture over melody and harmony. Yeah.
And it helps to have like a space to then present that as well.
Absolutely.
You know, so like you're saying with Bashunin, like that's a place where like all of us can get together and kind of test out new sounds and new ways of making music or new things we're thinking about and all that. You know, so shout out to J&J's for letting us do that. Because that's a lot of fun going down there in the basement and doing that. So you kind of changed up the process of your creativity. But what inspires that creativity? You know, like what, you know, I mean, what makes you wake up and want to make music?
I don't know. It's kind of a compulsion forever. You know, like I said, I've been struggling with it for so many years. There's no reason I shouldn't have given up on it a long time ago for, you know, the quality of my output, which is never very good, like I said. I was just driven to do it. It was like I feel so passionately for a lot of this music and a lot of these artists that I listen to and that I've enjoyed and you know, been with me through some of my hardest times in my life, you know, and I can hear a song and remember something about my life, and I was like, that's an important aspect of my life, and I really just want to contribute my voice to it, and so it was just trying to figure out how to do that. Since I couldn't let it go, I had to find out how to make it work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting closer every day. It's great. But the boys are what drives me these days. It's been the crew, man. It's been working with the Breakfast Boys, YSA and Kind Beats and Lofty and now Mercy, and meeting all these cats and you know, being able to kind of celebrate this mutual shared love of you know, the music of others and the music of each other, while also giving each other a voice to express ourselves. And we also have been able to find a number of avenues, like you said, with the J&J show and every other show. You know, it's been like we have a way to express our voice out loud now. You know, it's not just lost in the stream of SoundCloud or, you know, being ignored by people on Facebook.
Yeah, and there's other people who have had that opportunity to now as well to express it, which is even better. You know, like you bring out guys like Dr. Orb who are super nervous but have a very cool, interesting set, you know, plays the keys, does all that stuff, brings his own lights to create an atmosphere. He's building a crazy headpiece.
Oh, cool.
Too, yeah. You know, and
like an orb?
Yeah, I think so.
Like some Mysterio stuff? That's
cool.
Cool.
So, like, you know, that in itself, it's like that you give somebody a place to express themselves and they want to keep making music, you know, because even though, like, that was one thing when I started, man. I always wanted to make enough music to play an hour-long set of all my own music, and I didn't want to be like, this was decent. I wanted each track to like really pump. And you were at Flamingosis, and I think I got really close on that one.
You were, I mean, at an hour, if not.
Yeah, no, it was exactly 1 hour.
Okay.
Because when Lil Ray Ray came up there, it was 9 o'clock, and like my last track was playing. It had about 15 seconds left, and I faded out, and it went right into him.
Nice.
That was always the goal for me, but I wanted, and it's not, I'm getting close, like you said, getting close to having that hour of like, where I'm just like, yup. You know, that's why I needed those 4 jazz tracks at the beginning. First off, just kind of welcome people in.
Sure.
But also as well, I want to see what they sound like on the system. Plus, you know, I didn't want to start off with Summer City. Right. I still think, even though I've made that beat like 3 years ago, it's one of my favorite tracks still.
It's a good track.
It's got a good natural bass in there. But so right now it's 33 minutes on the.
It's like 32:52.
Oh, it's so close to 33. No,
I'm gonna drop like 8 seconds of something in somewhere.
8 seconds of silence. Just drop 8 seconds of quiet.
Like at the tail end of a track or something, just to get it at 33.
Maybe a paintbrush noise would be nice.
That'd be good. Yeah, one of my favorite musicians is Dwelle from Detroit. He has a song. Well, he has an album called Subject, and he has a song where he's like one of the intro tracks on the album, but he's like drawing something. He's kind of talking to himself. And you can hear the pencil rattling on the paper, and then it starts to go into this like shaker with the pencil, and then the drums start coming in, and the groove starts. I always thought that was really cool.
Of course, yeah, that's really sweet. I like that idea.
Yeah,
that's a good call.
Go Dwelle. Shouts out to Dwelle. Thank you for letting me sample you all the time.
I think one of my favorites that I ever did was I took different size colored pencils and dropped them, and they made interesting noises. I just set my recorder on the ground, just.
Oh, I do that in the studio all the time, man. I have a song called "Coffee and Chopsticks" because I was drinking, literally hitting the coffee cup I was drinking out of with chopsticks and sampled that. I was like, hey, that sounds great, and just kind of built all these patterns around it. And
so within this record, you know, there's essences of the ambient and, you know, boom bap and all that kind of stuff. What is one of your favorite tracks on there? I mean, there's 15 of them, so you can choose a couple. But what's one of your favorites?
So actually, this would be a good plug too. There's a song on there called "As Summer Slides Away." I wrote this just a few weeks ago. It was the last song to actually go on the album.
Nice.
I wasn't sure if I wanted to include it, except that I think it's really good. It's one of the best beats proper that I've ever made, I think. And it's actually to be released tomorrow on the Real Rad Records summer compilation, which is what I wrote it for. Ryan Torres hit me up a few weeks ago, asked me if I wanted to contribute something to the compilation. It's a summer compilation, so I figured I'd write a song about summer, but I wanted summer to go away. So I try to think about cooler moments at the end of summer, and then this what I think is a very beautiful song came out of it. And it's about something specific, and I think it captures a feeling very accurately. But then there's like Secret Spaces, Open Windows that I talked about earlier. That's one of my favorites because it's very personal to me, obviously.
Yeah.
It's about a number of ideas, and I think accurately.
I think you and me are the two breakfast boys on that.
YSA's on there too.
He is?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Word.
And
then like Pearl Earl?
Yeah.
Like stuff I didn't even expect to be on there was on there.
Pearler's on there. Who else was on there? Shoot.
Pudge? Yep.
Zach Williams had to some capacity.
I don't know if Richie's on there. I don't think Richie Flo is on there.
Anyway, that's coming out tomorrow, y'all. You should check that out.
Yeah, it's gonna be sweet.
Should be.
It's gonna be. It's gonna be sweet, man.
Shouts out to Real Rad.
Yeah, Real Rad. So I mean, that's the other thing too is you have to, like we had talked about. It's like when do you put a record out? And so I think it's good to, to kind of let people know what's coming, and that I think that's one of the hardest things to do in this business is not. It's hard to make music. It's even hard to get people to listen to it.
Oh sure, I've not even been thinking about that really. I'm just happy to. Well, that's how I arrived at even putting an album out. It was like, oh, I have so many tracks suddenly. I've been very productive, and I think there's a cohesive idea here. So,
but that's what's good about when you have 6 homies. If everybody shares it, that's why your last track, got the plays that it did because the people were sharing it. It's amazing, dude. I remember when it's like a Creative Soul Selection. What is it? I think you told me. No, Luke Lofty told me to share it. I'm forgetting exactly the Facebook. They'll reshare your stuff, and when they reshare a track, my stuff goes over 1,000.
Word.
Like it just works. I'll I can get like 500, 600.
That's excellent. I've been happy about like breaking 100 on
well,
a single track.
I'm usually like one thing that I like to do is look at your followers compared to your plays.
Yeah.
Because that's one thing that's super frustrating is like I go to guys that I follow and I'll be like, I haven't seen a track from you in ages, and they just came out with one 2 days ago. And I think that's because like certain people that you follow reshare so many tracks, they don't put music out. So that's one thing that I tend to unfollow people on SoundCloud if they're just like resharing all the time. I'm like, man, I feel like you're just getting clicks.
Yeah.
It's just like kind of click, almost the SoundCloud clickbait.
Well, I mean, there's a game to it. I never played the SoundCloud game so much as, I follow people I like and like songs that I like. And I don't think I've ever reshared anything.
I recently did it because I was like, you know what? Like, there's a lot of other people who are doing it. And if you want to listen, you want to see like their dashboard, there's that, but then you can click tracks and it's got other tracks. So I was like, especially like when it was you came out with stuff, and then pretty much
I'm sharing my stuff out has done great bumps for me.
Yeah, I'm having like 5 people who who are coming out with albums. Like you, Hatfield's gonna come on the show, or four people, and then oh my gosh, why am I having a blank? Luke Meadows, and then I'm still waiting on an answer from one other person as well. So. Yeah, like you came out with stuff, and then Hatfield came out with stuff, and it's like you got to reshare that stuff, because like I said, people can click tracks, and I was happy when they did that. I was like, okay, so that way you can get right to the music if you really want to.
I mean, it's done great things for me as far as activity on SoundCloud. Yeah. They're still passing over some of the songs that I really like. Like, the motorcycles, it's got like 7 plays right now. I can guarantee it's still at like 7. And I think that's I think it's a great beat. That's the one that got me started.
Yeah. I like that one a lot too. Well, I think one thing
it's the sample.
Put stuff on like the Reddit subreddits, like chill hop and lo-fi and chill music. Like, it sounds silly, but people go to that and they click it, and that's how you get those plays and you get the followers. But one thing that that we can attest to is like, depending on what you want to do, like those SoundCloud followers can honestly kind of mean nothing at times. But like, I think that one of the reasons that I got that show down in Deep Ellum is because I have over 600.
Yeah,
7 plays.
Still 7 plays.
Because I've got over 600 Facebook people, and over 600 SoundCloud people, and over 700 Instagram people. Mm-hmm. And like, I know, like, to me, it's just like, okay, cool. But to the venues, I'm not even trying to brag. To them,
it means a lot.
It means that there's numbers and that there's worth put into this idea.
And I've always had trouble with that personally, because like, especially with like Facebook, say, I could post a new piece of artwork that I'm working on, and it'll get like a couple likes, a little bit of attention anyway, and then I'll just change my profile picture and get like 90 likes. And it's like, oh, that's what y'all care about. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll post a new beat up from SoundCloud onto Facebook, and it'll get like 2 likes. I'll see like 1 actual listen come up, and it's like, well, that was pretty useless, y'all. Don't see. So that makes me like, that keeps me from participating in it fully, like engaging with that medium, and then. Just makes me wonder. I wish that the music would speak for itself, but people got to get to it too. So I got a lot to learn with all that.
I think like things that worked for me because that's one thing. It's like, you know, as much as you want to be like, I just make music to make music, man, it's nice to have people hear your tracks.
It really
and like
is.
them
No,
and
I love it.
Play and enjoy.
Oh,
like,
I'm full
it's
of
satisfying, and I don't care how. I mean, nobody makes food to hear. Oh, this is all right. No, you want to hear this is delicious. You know, that's what you made the food for those people for. Because you're not just making music for yourself. No. You know, because that's a selfish activity. You know, I make music that I like, but I also make music because I want people to groove and have a good time and feel good. You know, I feel like this record is something where you're taking people through this journey and you want them to sit in contemplation.
Absolutely.
So
very much so.
Yeah. So that's what it has accomplished.
Yeah. So I'm kind of creating this weird little beat journey and navigating them through these different environments and biomes that of my creation, just for that, so they can sit and think. I noticed it working when I was doing like some initial experiments with ambient music, and I had my lovely fiance sit down and listen to stuff. Just put on headphones and listen to this thing, and she would stop almost immediately and was like, "This is too much. I'm getting it in my own head." I was like, "Well, then that means it's effective. If it immediately starts to take you into your own space, then you're in my space." .com/no.
Tom, what's up?
What up, Tom?
Looking for that sponsorship.
Hope you got a different color shirt.
Got the same picture. But
but I need to. I'm worried about that people don't care about experiencing this sort of thing. I shouldn't worry about it too much, and should just try to get it in their hands and hope that not everybody all day every day wants to dance, because that's not what this album's going to do for you.
No,
but if you want to take 30 minutes and to kind of reflect on whatever, it's a good space to do that.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean that music is totally necessary, and I think that, you know, there is complete circles that appreciate that type of music. That's why there's ambient music out there, is because people listen to it and enjoy
Brian
it.
Eno has a storied career. Yeah, still making music.
Puts you through that story. It puts you through that experience of the music, man. And so, you know, when this record finally does come out, I think you're going to see a good response, especially with the fact that there's going to be physical copies that are going to be printed.
Yes.
You know?
So looking into that still, but
you'll be able to get it in people's hands. You know, because that's the thing. It's like you can go to these places and hand it to people, and most of the time if you give people a tape, they might not know exactly what to do or how they're ever going to play it.
That's kind of the fun of the medium, I think.
Yeah, but that's what's fun about it.
Got to make an effort.
You have to go and get a tape player and plug it in. But it's the same as you want to play records. Yeah. If you want to play records, you got to go get a record player. You know, this is just the way it goes. Yeah. Sorry, you know. So, like, I have a turntable, and so it works out really well. We got a turntable right there. It works out great.
It's easy enough to stream things on your phone. It's the most beautiful thing, honestly. I remember, I used to have a Zune.
Oh, yeah.
Back
I
in
had
the
a
day.
Zune.
But
Zunes were tight.
Limited storage capacity. I could only get what I had onto that thing. And now this little rectangle has everything ever. I got a Spotify and a YouTube account. I have access to all of it.
Yeah.
All the time. And so with that sort of access to things, you know, I feel like people are going to start developing their own individual tastes and exploring more of what's out there, because it's all out there.
Yeah.
Real easy to get.
Especially with the playlists on Spotify and like.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Leaf Beach has like over 1 million monthly followers.
Is that right?
Yeah. Like
good for him.
A bunch of those dudes, like for
Shouts out to
show
Leaf
and
Beach.
yeah, shout outs to old Leaf Beach. You know, good kid, old Trevor.
Yeah, bought his tape.
Dude, I'm still waiting for his record to get here.
Yeah.
I have told that it is printed and is getting ready to ship, but it's coming from like China.
Yeah.
And so it basically is going to be in customs for at least 2 years.
I thought it was funny because I got his tape. It came in from like Germany or Switzerland or somewhere, not Plano. And I knew he was living, so I thought that was really funny. But I mean, that's the way of things. You know, it's all global and on the internet until it's, you know, in your backyard, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, he did a really. I forget what it's called, but it's a vinyl service where. Once you sell enough of the vinyl to cover the cost of the printing, then they print it.
So they've probably been waiting on that. That's why it's taking so long.
Yeah, well,
it's kind of like a pre-order kind of situation.
Yeah, I think it was that. Good. So that's probably what happened. So yeah, but
that's pretty good.
But it's worth the wait. I'll let you know, because you know that's what we talked about on the way up here too, is supporting those artists. And it's like, have I done my part? You know, I've gotten a lot of free music. I'll admit it. You know, but everybody has. You know, SoundCloud has allowed that to happen. SoundCloud, tons of people put their music up for free on SoundCloud.
Kind of have to. I think that's why, like, you see Flamingos is selling digital copies of his record. They're always free on Bandcamp because, well, he can't sell that stuff. It's not all his so much. But then he's got to find ways to make money elsewhere, and the physical copies are good for that, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and so you can print those tapes and all that kind of stuff.
I'm not necessarily trying to make money on this thing. This is a passion project, if anything. This is kind of a answer to a need that I had inside me, and I want physical copies, and we're gonna get tapes.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like, you sell them for $7. You're gonna buy them $7. We take Venmo.
It'll probably be like 13.
$13. All right, we send it to you.
Venmo it. We'll get there. If anybody is at all interested, please hit me up, and I will fast track this. This situation.
Yeah, we'll get those bad boys out.
It'll definitely be cassette tapes. If you want a CD or something, man, I can probably burn a CD. I don't know.
My CD player doesn't work, man. My tape player works in the car, though.
I don't think CD players work anyway. I don't know. It wasn't a good medium.
CD players are crazy, man. Well, dude,
is that
I mean, we're out of time already. I know it happens every time, but once again, folks, we got Sanford Black here in the studio. We got 33-year-old boy coming to a theater. No, coming to the sound waves near you.
Coming to an internet near you.
Yeah, exactly. Tune in. It's going to be some awesome ambient music. Thanks again for hanging out with us, y'all. I'll see you next time right here on DentonRadio.com. Peace.
Well, thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the show. Be sure to check out DentonRadio.com for new Denton artists and where they're playing next. While you're surfing the internet, make sure you check out our friends Classic of Denton at ClassicofDenton.com.